Jordan Peterson is somebody who's been in a public sphere now for many, many years. He's a psychologist, a Canadian psychologist. According to Wikipedia, the source of all relevant news, Jordan Peterson made a public name for himself when he argued against Bill C-16, which was passed by the Canadian Parliament to introduce gender identity and expression. Jordan Peterson's argument was that no law should be able to change your speech.
I'm against the use of legislation to determine what words that myself and other people are required to utter.
But would you use alternate pronouns if a student asked you to?
I think I've made my position on that clear already.
Well, perhaps not to our audience at home who are just being introduced to this. Would you use alternate pronouns? And why not?
Because I don't believe that other people have the right to determine what language I use, especially when it's backed by punitive legislation. And when the words that are being required are the constructions, they're artificial constructions of people I regard as radical ideologues whose viewpoint I do not share.
And with that, he made a name for himself fighting against political correctness. And then from his humble beginnings of a psychology lecturer in a university, he suddenly became a worldwide figure and a household name. He took part in YouTube interviews and documentaries. His speeches and his interviews were filmed, and he became a very recognisable figure, mostly for the right wing, because he was so against Marxism and the very, very radical left. But Jordan Peterson is also very, very against the radical right. Not that anybody would tell you that. He's seen now as a figure to hate amongst the left. His first was Maps and Meanings, which isn't one that he's particularly known for. What he is known for is 12 Rules for Life, which became an instant worldwide bestseller. Since then, he's also created 12 More Rules for Life, following his illness. While I am quite a fan of Jordan Peterson, I definitely have watched many hours of him on YouTube, either his own personal videos or videos where he's featured in, and I've read his books. He's definitely a well-educated man, and he's a man who, despite his education, he has no qualms with voicing his opinion, which is something that's very rare these days. Even though I appreciate everything that Jordan Peterson is saying and everything that he does, and the fact that he's just willing to speak his truth at all, there's something in his work that I don't think he's truly taken on, and I don't think he's truly appreciated, and that is definitely the implications of mental health. Personally, I'm somebody who suffers with mental health. I have suffered with depression for many, many years, and then I was later diagnosed with a condition called EUPD. EUPD is maybe similar, very different also to bipolar, where bipolar you would spike and have intense highs and intense lows. EUPD is something that's quite similar to that, but it's not, I personally don't believe it's as manic, although friends of mine might disagree with you. The best way that I can describe it for people that maybe haven't heard of it or don't know about it, it's an inability to regulate your emotions. If I'm having a good day, I'm having a very good day and nothing can stop me. But if I'm having a bad day, it's the end of the world. There's no in between. And if I am having an in between day, I'm not feeling anything, which is almost just as bad as feeling either very, very good or very, very bad. Rule 2, treat yourself like someone you are responsible for helping. Now, with somebody who suffers with any, well, or most mental health conditions, that's something that doesn't even really apply. You can feel absolutely amazing one day. Of course, you're going to feel like you're somebody who's responsible for helping. You feel like you're on top of the world sometimes. But when you're on a downer, you think that you are the least important person that there is in the world. You're the least capable person of anything. You are the least worthy of anybody's attention, anybody's help especially. You just don't feel worthy of absolutely anything. So to treat yourself like someone you're responsible for helping, a mental health condition, you are probably your worst enemy. You are almost responsible for your own downfall as much as anything else, if not entirely responsible. Rule 3, befriend people who want the best for you. That's never going to be easy, is it? You have manipulative people out there in the world. I have been subject to many of those. They can approach you as somebody who is entirely out for your best interests and who cares for you and who wants the best for you, and then one day they're all of a sudden, they show their true colours and they're not that person, and they're so close to you at that time, they know so much about you and they're so integral to who you are and how you live and what your life is, that they've got all of the tools at hand to be the one responsible for taking you down, for no other reason other than the fact that that's just who they are. So that's not so easy either, is it? Imagine who you could be and then aim single-mindedly at that. I wish I didn't get distracted by so many things, that I can actually achieve that. I am always in the middle of either 16,000 things at the same time or none. I know many people, some that suffer with ADHD, some who have a problem with concentrating, that maybe aren't diagnosed with ADHD, but they just can't. Even though that the concept of that is a good one to have, it's just not. I can achieve that sometimes because of my obsessive personality. I can achieve that sometimes. If I want everything in my house to be red, I'm going to make it red. I am not going to wait for the money to do that. I'm not going to wait for the time to do that. I will find it, and I will aim single-mindedly, as Jordan Peterson says, on achieving that goal. But then all it takes for me is the smallest little blip, the smallest little thing thrown into it, and all of a sudden that obsession and all of that care and all of that need to have achieved single-mindedly what I want to achieve is gone. It's erased. It doesn't exist anymore. There's no dropping something and then pick it up again when I'm feeling better. It doesn't exist anymore. And that's the problem with personalities that are like that. It's a positive in the sense that you're always trying to do something. The downside is that you hardly ever actually achieve any of those things to the fullest. Rule 5, do not do what you hate. I think we would all appreciate that and believe and agree that we don't waste time doing things that we hate, but that's just not practical. Millions of us are stuck in jobs we don't like, but we need the money. Millions of us are stuck in homes that we don't like, in areas we don't like. We have friendships that are maybe not the best for us, but people are lonely and people can't find any other people in which to build those relationships with. People are in romantic relationships that aren't the best for them, but they're so far into it that what can they do? All of this is things that we hate, and while I understand that maybe being in those situations aren't going to be beneficial for you, how you get out of them isn't so easy.